Thanks, Charles. The first question is from Michael Rosenberg. Michael?
Thanks. I had a couple of questions. Could you go back to the slide on the heat pump efficiency?
Okay.
The question is about the baseline efficiency. I think you're looking for a calculation that uses the fan brake horsepower, and this is a big issue where we don't know what the fan brake horsepower is for the baseline system. Different manufacturers have different ways of meeting HSPF or EER or any of these other descriptors, and the fan can use different amounts of energy. So I think you need to develop some sort of a calculation for the assumption of what that fan power is.
So this would be for cooling systems, Michael, and under
secondary? Well, the heat pump for the heating side and for what you've just talked about, but I guess the same thing would apply to cooling systems as well.
Okay, I'm trying to find that slide.
So any package system where the fan energy is included in the efficiency metric.
Oh, okay. Well, we have some equations in COMNET. I didn't cover them in detail, but there's some equations for how to separate. Is this the one you're talking about?
It's not that slide. It's the.
Is this the slide you're looking for?
Okay, maybe you didn't get into it in the slide, and I went back and looked at it in the.
Yeah, in the. I didn't feel I had time to get into that, but throughout the COMNET manual, when we talk about efficiency for DX units. What we need to do is to separate fans from that, which means that the heat from the fan should be taken out of the capacity, and also the power from the fan needs to be reduced, so that when you put in an efficiency number into the model, it should just be for the cooling and excluding the fans. And we have equations in here for and of course when you use EER or SEER or HSPF, those efficiency factors include the fans. So we have some equations for taking out the fan energy, which are included in the COMNET manual. That may have been what you were looking at.
Yeah, but the equation that I see in the COMNET manual requires the brake horsepower of the supply fan in order to make that calculation, which in the proposed building it's fine, you can find out what that is. But for the baseline equipment, you don't really know what that brake horsepower is.
Yeah, that's true. I think we also have some a recommendation on what the brake horsepower is as a function of the capacity.
Okay, maybe we can follow up on that afterwards.
Yeah, that's definitely.
The next question about heat pumps as well is, this has been a question interpretation that's come to the 90.1 committee. At 40 degrees, we're specifying that the supplemental heat is activated, but it's not clear that you're still using the refrigeration cycle for heat as well, and that what's the lower limit of that?
Oh, yeah, it's a good point. I've always assumed that basically they're integrated, so that the compressor keeps running and the supplemental heat comes on as needed to meet the load. But have you guys got an indication that there's systems where the compressor literally shuts down at say 40 degrees and you run entirely as an electric resistance heater?
Well, we've gotten questions because some of the software out there does not accommodate that sort of control, and it's an either or.
Oh, I see.
The compressor or the electric resistance heat, and then also down to what temperature is the compressor effective?
Yeah. The software I'm familiar with, I think it runs the compressor, even though it's not meeting full load, and the supplemental heat then comes on to make up for the difference.
So I guess maybe since the subcommittee's in the process of writing this interpretation, it might make sense to look at what they come up with and try to incorporate
definitely. I don't think we got it. I don't think we actually addressed whether the compressor is integrated or non-integrated with the supplemental heat. And that's really the issue here.
One more question. As far as the pumping power, you indicated that you could use the pump per unit flow or the power per unit flow method. Is it allowable to use the detailed input method for the baseline building, or does the software have to accommodate?
No, not for the baseline building. For the baseline building, you'd need to use the power per unit flow method, since that's not specified in Appendix G.
Okay, the next question is from Joe Huang. Joe?
Hi, Charles?
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. I was wondering, there are so many rules on sizing, and I wondered if you have any concerns that different programs don't size their HVAC equipment using the same procedures, and whether there might be differences just based on how the sizing is done.
Well, there certainly will be. For COMNET and Appendix G, the real test is unmet load hours. And as we discussed, I believe it was in session 2, there's a procedure for making sure that the unmet load hours in both the rated building and the baseline building don't exceed 300 for the whole year, and unmet load hours are defined in some detail there. So you're right. I mean, there's lots of ways to size equipment, and you could get some variation. As far as the performance calculations go, as long as your unmet load hours are less than 300, and as long as the difference between the unmet load hours in the rated building and the baseline building are no greater than 50, then you're good to go.
Okay.